You ever meet someone who thinks they run the entire neighborhood? Yeah, that was my neighbor, Karen. The self-proclaimed HOA president of a neighborhood that didn't even have an HOA. And when I refused to play along with her fake authority, she tried to sue me. But what happened in court that day? Let's just say, the judge wasn't buying any of her nonsense. I'd lived in this quiet suburb for nearly 10 years. Friendly neighbors, kids riding bikes, weekend barbecues, it was simple, peaceful. Then one morning, a new neighbor moved in. Middle-aged woman, perfect hair, oversized sunglasses, and an attitude that screamed, "I'm in charge." She introduced herself with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Hi, I'm Karen Dawson, president of the HOA. I remember blinking in confusion. The HOA. We don't have one. She tilted her head. Oh, we do now. It's called Pine Creek Estates Homeowners Association. I laughed, thinking she was joking. But Karen wasn't joking. A week later, I got an envelope in the mail. Official looking. Stamped with a fake fancy logo. Inside, a list of violations. Apparently, my fence color was non-compliant, my mailbox was too dull, and my grass was half an inch too high. At the bottom, a $250 fine. I crumpled it up and tossed it in the trash. I hadn't joined any HOA, and my property deed said nothing about one. But ignoring Karen, that was a big mistake. 2 days later, she was at my front door, clipboard in hand, polo shirt with HOA president stitched across it. You ignored your violation notice, she snapped. Because it's fake, I told her. You can't just make up an HOA. She smiled like she pitied me. Oh, I can. It's filed with the county. That night, I checked. She had filed some paperwork, half complete, missing signatures, and signed only by her. Basically worthless. But that didn't stop her from acting like she owned the place. Soon, she started patrolling the street, measuring lawns, snapping photos. She even peeked over my fence to check compliance. Then, one morning, I woke up to find a bright orange sign in my yard. Notice of non-compliance, fines accruing daily. That's when I called the county clerk. They confirmed what I already knew, there was no legally recognized HOA here. But Karen didn't care about legal. She cared about power. She started spreading rumors that I was hurting property values. Some neighbors even started paying her bogus fees. And then, she went full Karen. She took me to court. The letter arrived by certified mail. Karen Dawson and Pine Creek Estates HOA versus Michael Turner. She was suing me for non-payment of HOA dues and damages to neighborhood aesthetics. I couldn't believe it. I hired a lawyer, Jillian Reed. Sharp, calm, confident. When she read the complaint, she laughed. This is going to be fun, she said. Still, I couldn't help but feel anxious. Karen walked around the neighborhood like she'd already won. She even emailed everyone. Justice will be served. HOA standards will be enforced. Oh, justice was coming all right, just not the kind she expected. The courtroom was packed. Karen sat there with a binder labeled HOA Records, smirking like a movie villain. I sat quietly beside Jillian, trying not to laugh. The judge, an older man with silver glasses, looked over the papers. Ms. Dawson, you're representing the HOA. Yes, Your Honor, I'm the president, and you're suing Mr. Turner for unpaid dues. Correct, Your Honor. The judge frowned. Where exactly does this HOA get its authority? Karen smiled confidently. From the community charter filed with the county. The judge flipped through her papers. Then he looked up. Ms. Dawson, this document only has one signature. Yours. Karen froze. Well, yes, but I represent the collective interests of the community. The judge raised an eyebrow. So, there's no legally binding agreement among homeowners. She hesitated. Not yet. That's when Jillian stood, calm and clear. Your Honor, my client's deed explicitly states his property is not part of any HOA. Ms. Dawson has been collecting money from neighbors under false pretenses and attempting to enforce non-existent bylaws. The judge leaned back. Ms. Dawson, do you realize that what you've been doing could be considered fraud? The courtroom went silent. Even the bailiff looked stunned. Karen stammered, tried to argue about neighborhood standards, but the judge had heard enough. Greater than, this case is dismissed, he said firmly. And Ms. Dawson, I'm referring this matter to the county for review. You may not represent yourself as an HOA until legally established. Karen's face went pale. Then the judge added one last line, the one that made the whole room gasp. Greater than, as of this moment, the so-called Pine Creek Estates was hereby dissolved. Just like that, her fake empire was gone. When we walked out of court, a few neighbors were waiting. Some clapped, others apologized for believing her lies. Turns out, Karen had collected thousands in dues over the months, and the county ordered her to pay it all back. Within a few weeks, her house went up for sale. Last I heard, she moved to another neighborhood. I can only imagine how long it took before she tried to start another HOA. As for me, I planted a brand new mailbox, bright red this time, just because I could. Every time I see it, I smile. Some people crave control so badly, they'll invent authority just to feel powerful. But sometimes, all it takes is one honest person, and one smart judge, to bring them back down to earth. And if you ever get a letter from someone claiming to be your HOA president, you might want to check if the HOA even exists first. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment about your own HOA nightmare. Because here on HOA Hellscape, we believe every Karen deserves her day in court, and her HOA dissolved on the spot.